Carl, why are you still drinking Pims? That was the joke for the last video.
Pim's a clock, mate. Is he staying? Oh gosh, that was smooth. Carrie is known as the book that launched Stephen King's career. However, not a lot of people know that he only wrote that book specifically because someone told him that he couldn't. Before Stephen King was writing and making the world scared of everything from cars, to dogs, to shitty hotels and twin girls, Stephen King made ends meet the way most struggling writers do, working a series of menial, shitty jobs he didn't care about. And boy, have I been there.
You want fries with that?
In between working as a janitor and a gas station attendant, King managed to scrape together a meagre existence writing articles for magazines like Playboy and Penthouse. Although writing for Playboy sounds like a dream come true for many people, the reality was that every now and again Stephen King would get a letter in his mail with a check in it for a few $100s. The rest of the time, the magazine wouldn't even send him a rejection letter. I don't know about you, but I can't decide what's more depressing, that one of the greatest authors of our time had to make his ends meet writing smut for a magazine, or that he couldn't even get a decent living from it. Writing for Playboy sounds awesome, but writing for Playboy and not having enough money to live sounds terrible. Not only are you in a magazine where people joke about people reading it for the articles, it's like people joke about the articles being of so little substance that it's, oh, you read it for the articles then. It's like, a lot of people did. Stephen King wrote stories for Playboy. They do interviews with people, like really big people. And obviously, when you're Playboy, you can get some really good interviews. I think there's a really telling one with John Wayne, I think it was, where he says like really racist stuff. Because obviously his guard was down by being in the Playboy mansion.
What was it you wanted to say to Mr. Hefner?
I want to tell him how much I love this place.
And like, if you look at Playboy, I recommend, because I think their website stopped doing naked girls and then started doing them again when their stock price plummeted. Some of their interviews are actually really good, and a lot of their articles are like really famous authors have written for them in the past.
So you read it for the articles, do you, Karl?
I've researched it for the articles, yes, but a lot of places don't accept Playboy as a source, even though some of the people, it's like the source is an interview with the person in question, but because it says playboy.com it gets banned. I've had that problem before. Although Stephen King's writing endeavours didn't earn him many Playboy fund dollars to spend on himself, he did manage to get himself a few fans, which of course meant he got himself a few critics, because we all know the arsehole to nice person ratio on the internet is skewed quite heavily in favour of the assholes.
Hopefully on our channel.
From what I've seen, our comments are very positive, and I love each and every one of you.
Let me tell you a little something about love. It eats everything. Friendship, family. It kills me how much it eats.
One of these critics decided to write King a letter accusing him of being scared of women because all he wrote was stories about macho things, seemingly blissfully unaware that King was writing stories specifically to appeal to the kind of asshole who reads Playboy just for the articles. But this is the day before the internet, remember? Wrote the guy a letter, put it in an envelope, sealed it, put a stamp on it and sent it, and thought in 3 weeks, that guy's gonna get a fucking earful. King, rather than just immediately throwing the letter into the trash, took it to heart, because as any person in the creative industry will tell you, criticism always stings. It doesn't matter if it's from your own mother or someone with an anime avatar on Twitter. Being told something you worked hard on and poured your heart and soul into sucked is a tough pill to swallow. I grew up with the last name Smallwood, so I had a lot of first person experience. I think I used to have a guy at school who would every time he said, all right, small dick, and eventually that was just my nickname with him. I just stopped reacting at all because he's like, all right, small dick. So, I think now he works in a factory somewhere at home. Fuck you. King, wanting to prove this asshole critic wrong, sat down and wrote a story about a teenage girl going through puberty, who also happens to have bitching psychic powers. After 3 days though, King heroically threw in the towel and threw the entire manuscript in the trash after finishing about 3 pages, and then stomped on it a few times, good measure, and promptly forgot all about it. However, a few days later, King's wife Tabitha found it, read it, thought he was onto something and encouraged him to finish the story, which he did in about 2 weeks. After being bounced around from publisher to publisher, the novel was finally accepted and the rest is history. King has become a household name, his novels have topped bestseller list after bestseller list, and every copy of Carrie ever sold is dedicated to one person and one person only, his wife, Tabitha. I'm assuming King never bothered to include a note for that critic who told me he couldn't write a story about women because he was presumably too busy counting all of his millions of dollars.
You know the drill.
Yes, I do. Hi guys. If you enjoyed that video, why not leave a like or comment with your worst menial shitty job that you've worked. Because I know I have worked some bad jobs in the past and I want to talk about them right now. Okay, so you know where I used to work, right? I've worked a couple of jobs over the years. Most of them were bartenders. I started as a glass collector in a pub. I went to be a glass collector in a nightclub and I worked there for a couple of years. I've worked race courses, I've worked in a restaurant. I did my work experience in a steel factory. I've done agency work, so I've worked in pubs and clubs all around, stuff like that. Oh yes, and I also worked in a hotel for a bit. But my worst job was when I worked in a nightclub. And this is the job I used to work until I quit to pursue writing full time. It was fucking awful. I won't say the name of it, but it is a fucking god-awful nightclub. So I worked in this place, and my job was basically gopher. I collected glasses. That was all I did.
Did you actually say glasses?
No, I say it 'cause it pisses people off.
Oh, right.
So they get confused when I speak Northern and say glasses, bath and scone. So I worked in this nightclub, and it was a shocking state of affairs. Like, just as an idea of the kind of place it was, we used to serve plastic glasses for people to drink out of. At the end of every shift we served the plastic glasses, my boss would tell me to go downstairs and pick them up off the floor so we could wash them and reuse them because it saved money. That is not a joke. But a lot of my friends worked there, so I didn't really mind it all that much. Eventually I got promoted, so I was like a supervisor, which meant basically I get 20p more to come in an hour earlier than everyone else and open all the toilets. So I was then in charge of cleaning the toilets, which meant that I had to sometimes wade ankle deep in piss when the toilets overflowed to unclog the toilets, which I used to have to do with a mop by shoving it right down the end of the toilet. And the worst part is as well, I had to wear a shirt and tie. So I was wearing I only had one shirt and tie because I was a fucking student. So I'm wearing my best clothes and I was standing ankle deep in piss, shoving a mop down a clogged toilet full of shit. It got to the point where I had to start leaving my shoes at work and wearing 2 pairs of socks. One pair with a carry bag over the top and another sock over that so my feet wouldn't get wet because I was spending so much time walking around in piss. Bearing in mind, this was a nightclub and I used to sell tickets to VIPs. But the bonus of that was that every shift I had to go for, I would go and take a dump in the women's VIP toilets and then leave the seat up. Just so I could. But anyway, that job was a bag of wank and I quit that job because I came in and it was a day. And we had a load of fresh starters coming in because it's the start of the new nightclub season where all the students there. And my boss said, Carl, the toilets are flooded. I said, for fuck's sake. Right, I'll go down and sort it out. And my boss goes, no, you send down a new starter. And I went, I'm not going to send a new starter down on their first day to unclog a toilet and walk around ankle deep in urine because they are not going to stay for another day. They'll quit straight away after that. Because who the fuck wants to work that job? Let me do it, and then when they get used to how the place works, then they'll do it. No, you tell that person to go down and clean that toilet, or you're fired. So I just said, okay, bye. I walked upstairs, I grabbed myself and I left. But that's not the end of it. That is the start of when I began to write for a living. I've worked other jobs since then, mostly because I got bored and I went to go work in a pub again just to earn a bit of extra money. But that was the start of when I said, no, I'm writing for a living now. So I went home and I wrote a big, long, rambling Facebook post saying basically, here's all the shit they do. They reuse plastic glasses, they forge, this is true, they asked me to sign retroactive safety forms because a girl fell over on broken glass. They got a safety form, changed the date, and asked me to sign it saying you clean the area so she doesn't get compensation from the fuck. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. They did all this crazy illegal bullshit, and I wrote that in a big Facebook post. And I topped it off with a big picture of me going, which Brad will put just behind me, and I sent that to them in an email. I got a very polite Facebook message a few days later. Carl, please take that down or our lawyers will be in touch. I didn't take it down. But they did manage because they knew what I'd done and I put a complaint into the health and safety inspector. They managed to clean up just enough. So they didn't really get in trouble for it. That is what encouraged me to say, fuck it, I would rather eke out a living writing articles and earning £150 a week, staying in my friend's house in a tiny little box room, paying £40 a week, than I would working this job and earning whatever they were paying me in addition. And that is how I arrived where I am today.